Here we got an Myrmachia tree, Machia amurensis. This is a Fabaceae or legume family tree. This is a relatively uncommon street tree in most places, but I found it planted a lot more commonly in Syracuse lately. Like many members of the Fabaceae, the legume family, these fruit persist through winter. They're pretty striking. You might have to approach it to tell exactly what species it is, but from a distance, these pods kind of give it away already. Although they might kind of look like samaras of an ash. I don't know, the form is pretty distinct. Kind of low, very decurrent, almost like a honey locust. Nice big black walnut. We've got a lot of huge black walnuts here in Syracuse. Very common as yard trees. Looks like this one had a pretty big tear out. Large co-dominant leader failure. Pretty fun. You can see where some branches grew through a fence. This is a raggedy old box elder growing in a children's playground at a public school. And branches have been cut back routinely, sprouting even more aggressively. Here are the opposite buds. Right, box elder is a maple, Acer negundo. These branches are often glaucous and bright green or red. Here are the pendant branches, pendant or pendulous. Often I hear pendulous when it comes to branches and pendant when it comes to cones. Either way, the branches of Picea abies, Norway spruce, are pendulous and the cones are pendant. What else could it be but Zelkova? Zelkova serrata in the Ulmaceae, the elm family. That insanely decurrent form, umbrella-shaped. You can see this Zelkova bark is minimally exfoliating, leaving these patches of orange and some shades and hues of green. God, it's icy. It's very icy. From far away, I know this texture up here in the branches. These are the arrested flowers of an ash tree, green ash to be specific. They mostly just plant green ash, occasionally European ash as a street tree. But these large masses, they were functional flowers some spring, probably this past spring, but there's a mite that infects them and arrests their development and actually causes them not to absciss. It causes them to just kind of stay on as a large black clump or black mass, very particular in silhouette. And here we see that ash tree. This tree has seen better days. Well, this is my first time trying this, just going for a little walk in my neighborhood. This is a cute park right near my neighborhood called Thorndon Park. We teach a dendro lab in this park. It's a great place to look at trees. Right here in front of me is a nice, beautiful old black locust, Robinia pseudoacacia. There's the wizardly bark. I call it wizardly. It's a coin I termed that no one else uses. But this large, furrowed, ridged, kind of gnarly bark. I'll go more into detail about why I think this is wizardly at another point. Here's Kentucky coffee tree, Gymnocladus dioicus. Fabaceae. Fabaceae, again, you can see these big pods, huge pods, fat pods, about the length of a black locust pod, maybe a bit longer, but way thicker and wider, and more of the texture of honey locusts. Got that leathery, rubbery, you might say coriaceous texture to the fruit. My shadow's getting long. It's getting closer to sunset. It's cold out. It's warmest it's been in about a week. It's about 26 degrees out right now, Fahrenheit. Here's a relatively young bur oak. Next, there's a red maple. And on the end, for some reason, looks like they planted a Siberian elm. At this age, bur oak has got that quite excurrent form. It will get more decurrent with age. The twigs of bur oak are terribly corky and winged or ridged. It's quite particular. Not many oaks do this, and even fewer in my region. Of course, bur oak is Quercus macrocarpa of the white oak subgroup. Here is that red maple, the smooth and quite shiny bark that red maple and silver maple often have. Red maple and silver maple bark is somewhat hard to tell apart, in my opinion, as are the twigs. A cerebrum, right, Sapindaceae. And here is that Siberian elm, Ulmus pumila, pumila meaning small, referring to the tiny leaves. The quite spherical flower buds are very visible, and if you look close at them, you'll notice each flower bud has dark scales, black scales, and each scale is fringed. The scale itself is not fringed, but the margin, the edge of each scale, is fringed, and this makes it pretty easy to ID. Also, the branches just look like scraggly, they look crappy. I often teach Siberian elm is just a crappy, scraggly-looking tree. Looks that way, performs that way, acts that way. I appreciate all trees, but there are not many redeeming qualities for Siberian elm except its Zone 2 tolerance to cold. Don't know why this was planted here. Maybe it came up as a seedling and someone assumed it had been planted. From my knowledge, they don't plant this tree deliberately anymore, anywhere in the state. This is quite an invasive tree. Here's that black locust from before. Such peculiar, such distinct form. I'll have to get into that form soon. Abies concolor. Nice white fur. No shortage of Norway maples. Look at that ashy bark, also known as ash bark maple. Yep. Tight, interlocking. Tighter than ash, though, a bit, if you ask me. The young bark of white mulberry, Morus alba, standing out against the darker bark of Abies concolor, white fir. There's that scaly, dark bark of European horse chestnut, Aesculus hippocastanum. And there are those very distinct, trying to get the exposure right, those very distinct branches. They're coarse, thick, huge fat buds, and sweeping. They dip down and dip up. It's very particular, this texture, to horse chestnuts and buckeyes, Aesculus species in general. Here's that Norway spruce off in the distance. All right, it's getting darker now. Nice little 15-20 minute walk. My fingers are getting red. I can't really feel the camera anymore, so I'm gonna head inside. This was a fun little exercise. We'll see if I like this format. If I do, I'll start uploading these little walkabouts, these little tiny snippet walkabouts, very crude, very short, and just kind of haphazard, stream of consciousness. I'll start doing these more often if I like them. Look at that. Incredible. Kentucky coffee tree. Gnarled, twisted, tortuous. Coarse, very coarse. Great street tree, although it's a little large. It gets a little large. And look at this. Got a little, little Fabaceae alley. We've got our Kentucky coffee tree above us. Got Styphnolobium, Japanese pagoda tree, or Chinese scholar tree, Styphnolobium japonicum over there. We got a Myrmachia, Machia amurensis over there. And down the street, there is a honey locust way off in the distance as usual. All right.